Okay, welcome everyone. So the purpose of this video is, probably as you can see by the title, is to show you guys about axes and kind of explain how they work. Based off my last video's analytics, it shows that you guys all liked the axes, so I'm going to try and do one on those. It's kind of hard to do a video on something like this because there's not much to say about axes, but I'm going to give it my best try. So to start off, let's start off with, well, actually before we start, I want to say, everybody, please subscribe if you watch the whole video. If you subscribe, write in the comments, I subscribed, it means a lot to me. And if you write that in the comments, I'll try and give it a heart and respond to it. So, please do that. Okay, so when were axes added to the game, to start off? Axes were added in version 0.31, which is that's in beta, I believe, or before Minecraft 1.0, which is not the oldest you can get on the launcher, but without hitting a button that says access previous versions. That's the lowest you can get without like any snapshot versions or any of the special things you'd have to enable. So that is really old. When axes came out, they were actually double-headed, but then they got one head removed. But that's probably not what you care about. You came here to see why axes are good for PvP. So here's why, and they are and they're not. So axes have the ability to temporarily disable shields. Just off that is really useful, because that means you're dealing just enough damage so you can disable the shield, and shield's only purpose is to block damage. So then shield just becomes an offhand item you don't need, once you've used an axe on it, which makes axes powerful in that way. But, why an axe? Why not a sword? Why can't a sword do that? That's really unknown at the moment. I guess it was just something Mojang decided to do. But, axes became good in the 1.9 update, the combat update. When axes were added, they did more damage than swords, just like they do now, and they take longer to hit, which is good and bad, because here's the thing: when you're taking a lot longer to hit, then you're technically losing damage. So technically, if you watch my other video, you can tell that axes are not better than swords, but at the same time, in some ways, they are. So I'm going to explain that now, because I'm just trying to cover points I didn't cover in my last video. So I want to talk about speedrunners. You probably know speedrunners. There's lots of them out there. There's Dream, there's Curryway, there's a lot of people that speedrun. There's first place, there's second place. You have all that. I mean, people, it's something they compete. That's something they devote a lot of time to. Speedrunning is a really big topic. But why do speedrunners use axes? Why don't they use a sword? A sword's technically one cheaper in sticks and in ore or wood and stone. Why wouldn't they use a sword? Right? Well, it's because axes, usually if you get a stone or an iron axe, you can kill blazes faster, and because speedrunners need to kill blazes for blaze rods, than you can with a sword. And that is only because it does more damage a hit, which is good because at the same time, technically the sword gets more DPS, but if it only takes one axe hit to kill a blaze and it takes 2 sword hits, it doesn't matter if your DPS is higher if it's taking more time. If you can hit more, that's great, but if you're not dealing the same, sword would overkill. An axe does not. You don't need to overkill at times, so that's why speedrunners use axes. On the other hand, in your survival Minecraft world, or any game you play, like right now I'm playing Skywars in this, if I used an axe, that would give me a disadvantage because it's before 1.9, but in your normal game, axes are totally fine to use. I would always recommend a sword just because of the enchants. The ability to get things like Sweeping Edge is so useful for so many things, and things like that. A netherite sword versus a netherite axe, I would 100% say a netherite sword. And there's probably people out there that disagree with me, because you don't need too much damage, but to the point where you're getting enchants, sometimes you don't need all that much. But the thing is, axes really have one purpose, and that's mainly for speedrunners. Don't get me wrong, they are used for chopping wood. That is kind of their main purpose, but at the same time, people don't really use them for that all the time. And I mainly use axes for PvP and that type of stuff when I play, so I never really intend on using axes for wood. But, sometimes I do. Usually I just break with my fist if I need a little bit of it. If you need a lot, you could use an axe, but to the point where I need a lot of wood, usually in my survival worlds, I build a machine to do it for me. So that's just the reason I would recommend swords over axes. But, once again, the video is not about swords, it's about axes, so I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're going to talk about a more humorous topic, which you probably didn't think I'd cover after that. But I'm going to talk about chopping wood. So, axes all have various different speeds of chopping wood, but that's just apparent based off of their level. No axe, I believe at least, can chop a log instantly. Like can no axe except for maybe netherite can chop a log in. No axe can chop a log instantly whatsoever. Like nothing can instant break a log. Even if you have efficiency 5, it can't do it. That is to say that there are haste 2 beacons which can greatly speed up the process, but I don't believe any axe can break a log completely instantly. And that is just because that'd be really powerful to go to forest and just the entire tree. That isn't that's not to be said that you can of course use different things. There are lots of ways to break trees faster using TNT and things like that, but axes cannot break a tree instantly. I would probably recommend axes once again, not for trees and for combat, but of course you could always use them for trees because that is their main purpose. With axes, you can do lots of things. They're very multi-tool. They're very multi-purpose. Like if you only have the materials to make a axe or a sword, and there really wasn't much else you wanted to do because you already had like a pick or something, I would go for an axe because you can break trees faster, which is probably that's another reason probably speedrunners use it that way because they get just that more multi-purpose. And now I want to talk about why I'm against axes. And I'm only against axes because I believe that swords are better, just because of enchants, and that's just because I usually play hard mode and stuff like that, so I don't speed run. But if you're a speedrunner, of course, use an axe. If you're not, I would not. I don't really like axes, at least for that, because of that, because I don't really speedrun. I play usually hard mode, where axes don't benefit me. They benefit to have every once in a while, of course, because of logs. But usually, even in those and sometimes when I play hard mode, I don't want to deal with mining iron or even diamonds for an axe. So it's usually very expensive, especially because in hard mode, creepers can one-shot you no matter, even if you're rank full diamond. So you have to be careful. But that is my opinion on axes. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with me. If you have any suggestions on like how axes could be more useful, definitely write them in the comments. I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say. If it's anything I think it's really interesting and an interesting idea, I could totally make a video out of it if I find it something that I feel like could be useful for people to know and it's something original. So if you guys have any other reasons that axes could be better than swords or swords would be better than axes, just give it to me and I'd be very interested to know what you guys think. I prefer use swords just because swords have a certain appeal to me since I've been playing for a really long time and now before axes were better than swords in any way whatsoever. So I kind of have a sort of bias. But at the same time, I really have always used swords since the game came out, really. So that's just my opinion on it, and that's why I believe that swords are better than axes, but it's somewhat biased, and that's don't always take someone else's opinion. If you guys absolutely love axes, you've seen Dream use them, if you've seen other people use them, then go for it. I like swords because of the higher DPS you can obtain, and this is only really good for player versus player and like combat, along with taking out like withers and dragons and boss mobs. But other than that, I do believe that axes are better than swords. On a completely other topic, I was thinking recently, and this is kind of a little spoiler towards my likely next video, and I just wanted to say that I think it'd be interesting if Mojang added something that you had to get to the end to make the end, like, it'd have the elytra and everything, but a way you can't go to the end with, like, the best armor in game. So right now, you could technically go to the end with full netherite and fight the dragon with that for the first time. I just feel like that is not how the game should be. You should be rewarded with the ability to obtain much better armor in the end, not just the elytra. But that was completely on the side note. That's just kind of an opinion I've been having, and I think that'd be kind of a cool video idea. You may have seen in this Skywars, in the background there, a few minutes ago, or like a minute ago max, someone killed me with an axe. That was purely because I was just wearing a helmet and they were in full armor. Don't get me wrong, axes have never been horrible. In 1.8, you're still fine using an axe if you don't have a sword. But a sword will do you better. A diamond sword will do much better than an axe. I also wanted to cover a relatively controversial topic. I've heard people say before that I just don't understand why people even think this. If you're on a 1.8.9 server, and if you're on a 1.8.9 server that supports 1.16, an axe is not going to deal more damage from your account than it would from a 1.8.9 player's account. I just wanted to clarify this because so many people have asked me this question, and I don't understand how it gets confused at times. But at the same time, now you guys know. Playing on 1.16 will not give you an unfair advantage with an axe over playing on 1.8. So that's just a little side note. But thank you guys for all watching. If you got this far into the video, make sure to subscribe. If you do, once again, right at the bottom that you write I subscribed, this little comment, and I will be 100% sure to like your comment and part it. That way, it'll get seen by other people. So, thank you guys so much for everything and watching. Have a great day.